Hello everybody, this is Grim Skellington, and this could be my submission to the Commentator Wars for Round 2. Now, my last video was a Super Smash Bros. Not Brawl, just regular Nintendo 64, old school one. It's kind of a Let's Play-ish sort of video, but you guys said I'd be better suited if I tried to do a non-live video, so that's what I'm going to try to do. As you can see here, this is L4D2 2, if you played the game before. It's Survival, Dead Center, and I'm going to go ahead and say that despite us actually being a group of pretty good players that kind of handpicked us here, it didn't go too hot. It was a 6-minute, 29-second time, but you know, it happened to fit really well into the 7-minute time slot here, and it was a lot more interesting. The problem with the game, and trying to get footage with it, is that most of the good scores end up being very formulaic. You either camp somewhere and you never move and you just kind of kill the tank and no one really wants to watch the full 10 minutes for you to get the gold, or you do kind of what we tried to do on this level, where you camp somewhere, as soon as tank comes, you run around someplace and come right back. And as you can see up top there, we had an 8-minute 51-second time, but it was formulaic. It wasn't very interesting. I thought it'd be a lot better if I showed you guys a video that wasn't necessarily me doing the best round I've ever done, but it was interesting at least. So that's what I'm doing here. Now you guys might be asking, why are you doing this? Why aren't you doing Black Ops like everybody else is doing, or Minecraft, or whatever other games you normally do Let's Plays for? Well, A, this isn't a Let's Play, so I figured I should try something else. And B, I happen to really like zombies. They are somewhat of a passion for me. I am always on the search for good zombie movies, zombie books, and I don't know. I gave it a lot of thought recently. Why do I like zombies? Why does society in general, actually, as of late, really like zombies? And I've come to the conclusion that I think it's because they're a new type. A lot of horror stories in the past have been kind of overdone by this point, like werewolves, vampires. They're interesting, but they've been around literally for thousands of years while people perfected the stories, and most of their stories end up being the same, and they don't really reflect our time period. They're a lot more, not quite tribal, but village-ish, small communities worrying about a very large supernatural threat. Whereas with the zombie apocalypse, it affects all of humanity. It is kind of embodies our underlying fear of those are around us and the potential evil that they could do, the feeling that we aren't truly connected with our neighbors any longer, which sounds very pseudo-philosophical and all of that, but that's not really the point. But like I said earlier, they actually have a really recent history also, which makes it really good because it's a lot more focused on us. Whereas a lot of mythical stories, even when they're retold nowadays, still follow the old same formulas. It has its own new formula. And it probably is thanks to a fellow Richard Matheson, who ended up inventing, or not inventing, but he wrote the book I Am Legend, if you're familiar with that. You've probably seen the movie, but the movie's not at all similar to it. I'm not going to ruin the book, but it invented kind of the concept of the zombie apocalypse, of one man alone, stuck surrounded by the hungry masses who want to eat you. They weren't really zombies technically they were vampires. But they were brainless, and they were shambling, and it was close enough, and it really is, it's kind of what inspired George A. Romero, who is the inventor of the zombie story that everyone knows and loves. That afterwards, George A. Romero, what was it, about 20 or so years later, he was actually working with his co-director, and his co-director's like, I think we should have a movie about aliens that come down and eat people. And actually, George A. Romero was working on a story of a bunch of people without any tools or weapons terrorize a house and try to break in to kill the people. And then they decided, let's combine the two. Let's have it be people, but they want to eat the people. But how can you make that even more terrifying? Well, how about they go ahead and be dead? I mean, that has been a concept that has been around for thousands of years. I mean, all the way back, probably since the beginning of time, people have been worried about, is that dude I killed gonna come back and kill me? Or is he gonna haunt me? Or there's always been that underlying fear that maybe they're gonna come back and they're gonna try to kill me. They're gonna get revenge for whatever I did. And so they ended up having it like this, where perhaps there is a trouble. Something goes wrong and the laws of physics breaks, and those people that you killed, that you thought were out of the way, are no longer out of the way. And then, not only that, you're gonna have to end up potentially having to kill the people you love, which is a very horrifying concept for most people. Most people do not have the will to do that. I mean, can you imagine having to kill your family? Now, anyways, commentary for this, the footage itself, is kind of wrapping up here. So I'll go ahead and explain how we end up ultimately dying. As you can see, we've actually managed to do fairly well. At this point, things haven't really gone wrong yet. And kind of this is where everything goes wrong. When that happens, we ended up having to drop down a little bit prematurely. That's normally the strategy, is drop down, make a little circuit, and go back up. And of course, tank. Yay, tank. So we have a tank in front of us who's not even wounded at all. We have a tank that's dropping down on top of us from above, and we got this horde here. In addition to the fire that Ductator and I lit behind us. Ductator over there, as you can see, kind of got crushed by the tank immediately. And Shelby and I managed to actually escape. I dropped down here, I tried to grab some supplies, but Popsicle and Shelby are both kind of in trouble. Shelby manages to escape, but Popsicle doesn't quite, and she ends up going down also. So at this point, Shelby, as you can see, just ran over from the left there. I took some adrenaline, I'm running up, I'm trying to get up here. What I was hoping to do is run back down and go grab Popsicle and Ductator and get them up here, but they both kind of die. So I have that defib. I was thinking, okay, I'll go defib them soon, and this is the mistake. This was entirely my mistake. I told Shelby I thought we had a little bit more time. Here, go ahead and heal me now. We didn't have more time. And I kind of died here. As you can see, Shelby ends up being pounded into the corner. She couldn't escape, and ultimately we died. Anyways, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Have a great evening, everybody.